All right, in this next part, we're going to talk about synthetic division and determining if something is a factor. So, first up, it just says to divide negative x cubed plus 5x minus 2 by x minus 2. So to use synthetic division, the first thing we need to do is look at the polynomial that's being divided. That's this negative x cubed plus 5x minus 2. We want to make sure we aren't missing any powers of x. So when I look at this, I see, and make sure that they're in order. I see, okay, we have x cubed, and then we're missing an x squared, because then we go straight to x and then the constant. So I'm going to go ahead and write in negative x cubed plus 0x squared plus 5x minus 2. I'm going to go ahead and write in that missing power of x. So always check for those missing powers of x. Because then the next step, we find our c. So whatever we're dividing by, x minus 2, that tells us what our c is. So our c is positive 2. So if this was an x plus 2, our c would be negative 2. We always switch the sign from what's inside there. So we'll put 2 in a little box up in a corner, and then we write our coefficients. And since we have everything in order, x cubed, squared, linear, constant. So 3, 2, 1, constant. We can just write those coefficients out. We'll have negative 1, 0, 5, negative 2. We leave a little space. And then from here, we're just bringing down that first coefficient, negative 1, multiply by whatever we've got, whatever our c is. So negative 1 times 2 is negative 2. And we write that product up here. And then we add straight down. 0 minus 2 gives us negative 2. Then we multiply again. Negative 2 times 2 gives us negative 4. And we write this down here. 1. 1 times 2 gives us 2. And we add straight down. 0. And this is our remainder. If we had a remainder here, we would need to write it. But we can write our solution based on this bottom row. So this bottom row is our quotient. It tells us what our solution is. If we started with an x cubed, our solution is going to start with an x squared. So this is going to be negative 1x squared minus 2x plus 1. And then if we had a remainder, we would write it over here, but we don't. Our remainder is 0, so we can ignore that. Remember that to write a remainder, you do whatever your quotient is, whatever your quotient is, you get that answer, plus the remainder over whatever that x minus c is. So make sure you have that plus in there. Your remainder will be part of a fraction that's over that x minus c. Okay, so we can also use this synthetic division stuff to determine if something is a factor of a larger polynomial. So we want to determine if x minus 3 is a factor of f of x equal to x cubed minus 9x squared plus 27x minus 27. And if it is, we want to write f of x as a product of linear factors. Basically just factor it completely. So the first thing we're going to do, we're going to do f of x divided by this. So I'm going to look at this, cubed, squared, 3, 2, 1, constant. So we don't need to fill in any missing powers of x here. We're already good on that. And our c is going to be positive 3. Remember, we switched that sign. So we'll have 3. And then we're going to write out those coefficients. 1, negative 9, 27, negative 27. And again, to do this division, we just bring that first coefficient down, and then we multiply. 1 times 3 gives me 3. Add straight down. Negative 6 times 3 gives me negative 18. Add straight down. 3 times 9 gives me 27. Add straight down. And we get a remainder of 0. And this remainder of 0 tells us that, yes, x minus 3 is a factor of f of x. Since f of x divided by this x minus 3 gave us a remainder of 0, it is a factor. And so then this also tells us that we can write our f of x as x minus 3 times this quotient, which, remember, if we start with x cubed, our quotient is going to start with x squared. So this will be 1x squared minus 6x plus 9. And then we'll want to finish factoring this guy. So this is x minus 3. And we're looking for two numbers that multiply to give us positive 9. They should multiply to 9 and add to negative 6. Hopefully you thought of negative 3 and negative 3, right? Negative 3 times negative 3 gives us positive 9. Negative 3 plus negative 3 gives us negative 6. So this will be x minus 3 times x minus 3. And since this is repeated 3 times, we can write this as f of x equals x minus 3 cubed. Great. And so this is our product of linear factors, right? All of our exponents are on the outside of the parentheses. That's all that means, is that we want this factored completely. So we first determined that, yes, this is a factor. And then once we could determine that it was a factor, we wrote it as a product and finished factoring whatever that quotient was. So let's see another one. So determine if x plus 2 is a factor of f of x equal to x squared plus 2x minus 4. That is, write f of x as a product of linear factors. Or if it is, write f of x as a product of linear factors. So again, our first thing we're going to do f of x, do this function, this polynomial right here, divided by x plus 2. And we're going to do this using synthetic division again. We have x squared, so 2, 1, constant, so we don't have any missing powers of x to fill in. And we can write our c from this part. So our c is negative 2. So we'll write that negative 2 up in the corner, that little box. And we'll fill in our coefficients, 1, 2, negative 4. Bring that first coefficient down. 2 times negative 2 gives us, or I'm sorry, 1 times negative 2 gives us negative 2. Add straight down. 0 times negative 2 gives us 0. Add straight down. And we're out of columns, so we have a remainder of negative 4. So since the remainder is not 0, since the remainder is not 0, x plus 2 is not a factor of f of x. And that's all we really have to do. Now, if you wanted to write this quotient, you don't really have to do this part, but I want to write a quotient that has a remainder. If you wanted to write this quotient, we started with an x squared. So down here, we would start with an x. This would just be 1x plus 0, which we don't need to write, minus 4 over x plus 2. And that's how we would write our solution. Or you could write x if you wanted to kind of keep it with what we've done already. This has some extra stuff written, but it would also be an acceptable answer. Okay, so that's that. This is extra. This is really your answer for this one, is that x plus 2 is not a factor of f of x.